lovely co-host. So your name?
Angelic.
Okay, today
It's a good day.
It's a great day. It's shining outside. Looking like Costa Rica right now. It's so amazing.
We went that far?
Yes.
I want to go. Why do you say that? Today
is probably our official interview.
Yeah, very first
conversation with someone that is very near and dear to my heart. You know, so I want to introduce you guys to my friend Matthew Worku.
Hello. What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. I'm chilling. How are you?
Good, man. Nice haircut. I don't know how you got that haircut.
Right?
Looks
straight. Hey, man.
Restrictions are lifting, so you know. Maybe he did it himself.
I've been wearing this hat.
Yeah, you know, maybe I did it myself.
Right?
No, you definitely didn't do that by yourself. I've been wearing this hat for like
2
months, man. 2 months.
Yeah, I had an afro, bro. I couldn't fit a hat no more, so it had to be done, fam.
Yeah, your hair, probably.
His hair grows.
Yeah, it had to be done.
Before we start, I just want to tell the people some of the list of accomplishments Matthew has done in his young career. You know, he is 28. By the way, I'm joking. He's 22. So he's a research assistant and writer at Sunday School. He's currently the voice of a network for Nick Plus, aka Nickelodeon for the 90s kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Actor signed to Edna Talent Management.
My bad, sir.
He had multiple commercials for Kudo,
okay.
Roots, and it was definitely on TV because there was one time I was working out, and I said, "Oh shoot, that's Matthew." That's Matthew.
I know him.
It's legit. It's legit commercial. You know, some people. Okay, no, I'm not gonna go on.
Wow.
Anyway, so that both Italia did an article in 2019, and lastly, he has many more, but lastly, his poetry chapter book reached #1 on Amazon, which is called "You Can Call Me." You can call me.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a lot.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a grand intro. Thank you.
Yes.
And
I'm trying, man.
Continuing to do your accomplishments as you continue. I was gonna ask first before we get into it, but how does that feel hearing that? Like when he's reading it out loud, like how did that?
People giving you your flowers. How does that?
Like you've done all this stuff, and you're young, so
yeah. It's interesting. It's twofold because on one hand, I'm very grateful, of course, and you know, hearing it back is like, oh wow, okay, it's working. You know, like God is working, it's happening. But then on the other hand, I'm still very aware of all the things I still want to do. So that chase never ends, you know? Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, this is great and I'm grateful for it, but I'm already mentally just, all right, next.
Okay,
which might not be healthy, but it is
you got
what it is.
incredible drive, right? Yeah, it's motivation.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So how do you sorry, before we get into it, how do you unwind and realize what you have accomplished? Instead of just going to the next thing and
I'm learning to do that as I go. I think after this book, I really learned to do that. And my friend gave me some advice when the book came out, because he's an artist as well, and he's very like, what's next? And he was like, fam, I want you to live in this season. And when he placed it like that, when he said season, I was like, it grounded me, you know, like, okay, let me really learn to accept it and just sit in it and ride it out and not worry about what's gonna happen next. And just know, especially whenever I look back and I'm like, every time I was tripping about what's gonna happen next, something greater than what I could have imagined came my way.
Right.
So just the knowledge of that, I kind of sit still. I'm like, all right, whatever's next is better than whatever was. So I'll live in this.
That's cool to hear.
So can you tell the people where you are from, sir?
Yes, I'm from. I'm Ethiopian. I'm Ethiopian. My ethnicity is Ethiopian. Both my parents are Ethiopian. Yeah, you know the vibes, East Africa. And I'm from Lawrence Heights in Toronto. Lawrence Heights. Yeah. Otherwise known as Jungle.
We don't know that area that well. I'm just joking.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean it's not the greatest neighborhood, but a lot of beauty comes out of it at the same time. So
right.
Yeah, trying to contribute to the beauty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get right into your as you talked about it before, your book,
Okay.
you know, and I read it, a little bit of it. I mean, they read it as well. It's pretty cool. But we wanted to know, like, how did that start for you? Where did that start? How did that happen? Like, your writing, poetry, that aspect.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Eric knows because we go back to high school. I was doing poetry for a very long time, and the plan for it wasn't even really a plan, to be honest. I was just writing, and you know, as you're writing, like I looked at my books. I'm like, okay, I have a lot of writing. I've been doing this for a while. Like, what other way can I give this to the world other than just posting it on Insta, other than tweeting about it, other than something like that? How can I profit off of it now? It's time to build a career. So I was like, all right, where do they put words where they make profit? Books. So yeah, just steadily, once that idea kind of planted in my head, just started watering it, and slowly but surely it became.
So you always had the idea of the book in your head, like even in high school?
Nah, not at all. I wasn't even on that type of time. It was just like in 2019 when I wrote the first poem for it. After a while, I was like, this is kind of piling up. This is becoming something. And there's a story here as well that I noticed. So when it became, okay, there's like a cohesive story I can tell. I want to put this out in a way where, because if I post it on Instagram, you know,
it's gonna get lost.
Fingers crossed, it gets shared. Fingers crossed, comments, love, etc., which is great. But again, it's at the point now where I'm like, all right, I'm a year from graduation. How can I turn this into a viable career? How can I actually like do something with this? So I just started really just Googling and like, all right, let's try to publish.
Wow, that's a cool. I mean, I like writing too, but I don't know if I could write the way you wrote. But like you talked about it, but I'm like, what pushed you to write? First of all, like what pushed you to get to the area of like just writing, just in general, even if you didn't think about it like it was poetry or anything like that, but the fact that you actually open a book and you said, like, no, I'm not gonna write it down. Let me just write it down. Like, what got you to that point? Like, what pushed you there?
Like in the beginning?
Yeah, the very first, like you can look back and say, like, what got me there?
Did it start off with journaling? Did it start
off? Yeah, nah.
It just felt like you had rhymes and
It was like it was two specific scenarios. The first one was in grade 8. I remember we had this assignment in elementary school, and the teacher was like, you know, just innocent little, like, I want everyone to write a poem and then present it in front of the class.
Great.
And so we did that, and I was writing mine, and I vividly remember while I was writing it, I was like, because we had to make it rhyme and whatnot. And I was like, oh, this is kind of easy. Like, this is lit. So I just did it. I was writing it and then presented it, and I got laughs and I got and you're a kid, so you're like, okay,
right.
You know, like, all right, this is cool. But I didn't think too much of it. And then a year later in grade 9, this was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do something with this. My family, there was some problems going on at home, some arguments and whatnot, and it was just weighing heavy. And it got to the point where I was like, yo, I want to, it's like a movie scene. I wanted to get it out. You know what I'm saying? That was so cookie cutter. Like, I wanted to get it out, but anytime I said something out loud, then it just contributes to it getting worse. So I'm like, all right, let me try this thing that was fun last year. So I remember writing it out, and it wasn't technically good or anything like that, but I remember finishing it and just being like, oh, that did it for me. Like, I feel what I wanted to feel by saying it. And then from there, it just became a matter of, anytime I felt that feeling of like, I have to say something, just put it on a piece of paper. Yeah.
It was like your escape.
Yeah, your reality. Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, as I said before, like the writing aspect for me as well, like, I mean, I don't write, like I said before, I don't write the way you write, but like writing out your feelings and writing out how you feel, it gives you some type of like, you know, like a relief. Like you feel like, I don't know, like the paper understands what you're saying.
But you said you think you can't do it, but if you read his book, it's kind of like he's writing in your own like words. Like you're not really writing so formal.
Yeah.
You agree to that? Like, because even the spelling, like I see some spelling in there. It's like, oh shoot, like I never see that in a book, but he did it his own way, right? So a lot of people think they can't do something, but just be yourself, I guess.
So
yeah. That's the thing about and I learned a lot about this like while making this book and being in school and whatnot. You learn about the literature industry and publishing, and it's very much like there's hierarchies and there's, you know, like everyone thinks they're posh and better than everyone, etc. But when I read things that I enjoy, like when I'm reading Tupac's poetry book and he's spelling cuz with C-U-Z as opposed to C-A-U. You know what I'm saying? Or just other poets and they're not using periods, they're not using commas. There's no rules to how you feel. It's just feel it and then express it. So I kind of took that mindset. It wasn't like I'm not writing an essay, so I'm not tripping on, whether it's this or
grammatical
that,
errors and stuff like that.
Like, did you feel? That's my only concern. Did you feel? So
you're writing it more to be relational to the people and not like when you read it, you feel like, wow, I can put myself in that shoes. And that's what I'm thinking. You're literally writing what the person is thinking. And people in our day and age right now, they don't dramatically write correctly anyways in text. So like reading it, they're like, yeah, he understands me. Like, I get this. Yeah. So
yeah.
No, go ahead. Oh, okay. So what I wanted to ask next is like what does poetry mean to you? And the first time you like published your book or got to that point, like how did it feel?
So what does poetry mean to me? Poetry is it's everything without exaggerating or being cliche. I do a lot of things creatively and I'm in a lot of things creatively, but I've learned in my life the thing I always come back to, or the thing that's the constant through everything, has always been poetry, because it's just me and the words, There's nothing else going on, and that's very peaceful. So poetry means a lot to me, everything to me. And then in terms of how I felt when I published the book, it was taking me back. It was scary. It was really scary. As I was making it, I was like, you just want to get there. And I'm like, yo, when I'm gonna have a public, this is gonna be crazy. Like, I'm an author, that's lit. You know what I'm saying? I'm having all those feelings.
Yeah.
I got to that moment. And I remember the day it came out, I was so sad. And I was sad. Yeah, it was weird. My homie's like, bro, you did it. I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I was sad because, for one, it was like the story wasn't mine anymore, This thing that I lived in, that I experienced, it was so personal to me. Once it went into the world, it was like, oh, it's not mine anymore. Yeah, like I have to live somewhere else. I have to live in something else. Yeah. And then, yeah. So it was that. Definitely proud, but I think the pride and the accomplishment came a little bit after. In the moment, it was like, bittersweet.
Well, since you talked about one of your poems, let's take a little deep dive in one of your poems. Let me just take a mood. Hold up.
Transition, I read it. Yeah, I got you.
Stop!
Like my candle,
Oh my gosh!
I look like a biker.
So in your poem, Feeling Lonely, you wrote, I'll imagine and create who she is and fall in love with that. So the question is, Matthew, have you fallen in love with the idea of being with a person? And if so, has your perception changed?
Oh man.
Yeah, no. That's a real one. And I've heard a lot of your guys' episodes, and I'm pretty sure that's the topic you guys have touched on briefly and whatnot, and you guys have done a great job on it. And it's I very much have done that in my past. There's an entire chapter called Infatuation. I think it's dedicated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of.
I was like, this might be. He was all in it. It was like, oh man, that's all me. There were different stages, different levels. Yeah.
No, it's definitely something that I've done in my past where I'll like I said, I'll imagine, and then you not only fall in love with the idea of being with someone, but you fall in love with the idea you created of that person.
Right.
So it's twofold. Once I realized, like, oh, okay, as a matter of fact, I'm okay to not be with anyone. And then on top of that, you don't meet who I've created for you.
Right.
It's been a lot of learning. I'll put it like that. A lot of learning. Yeah.
Right. You're right. Like, I think a lot of times, like you said, like people have this idea of what they want their partner to be like. And so when they don't meet it, it's a big clash. You start to realize like, whoa, like how did I even get up in? How did I even like end up here? You know, and pulling yourself out. The part of it that's hard for most people is pulling yourself out of it because you've invested so much time into it. So it's like now you like, what should I do? Should I stay even longer, even though they don't meet what I expected, or should I just pull out and start all over again? Like, but did that happen to you? I mean, obviously you wrote about it, so that situation that you were in about infatuating about somebody, your like what ended up happening? Did you take time to get yourself out of it, or like something just happened and you're just like, I need to get out now?
It was I mean, particularly for what I was writing about in the book, the situation was more so I kind of realized it as we went along. Like as I got to know her more and whatnot, and as we got deeper, and it's happened in my past as well, where it's gotten to those moments where it's like, wow, I created something completely different in my head. And now that I've realized this, previously when I was younger, I wasn't as, I'll use mature. I wasn't as mature to, I wasn't as mature to go about that process gracefully. But now it's to the point where I had a conversation with one of my exes recently, and I was talking to her and I was apologizing really, because it was like, I don't have the right to impart on you who you should be or who I think you should be.
Right.
You know, so for me to do that and then aim for that is just, it's twisted. So
sorry, I was gonna ask more questions, but the fact that you were able to actually go back and apologize says a lot about who you are, and says a lot about your growth, because most people, no matter what, they will never go back and apologize. It's very difficult to go back, you know. That means you did like yourself.
I'm glad you highlighted that. I'm curious. I want your all your opinions on this. Do you think, because when I did that, when I was going about doing that, I was definitely nervous because there's a big chance of like,
rejection, like, why
you know, like how dare you type thing. But then it was good, it was healthy, it felt good. But then I saw a tweet the other day and it was like, for guys that double back and apologize in the past, like, who do you think you are? Who's thinking about you? I was like, damn, that's what I just, you know what I mean? Like, I just did that.
With so that, I think it's more so for yourself to unload, because you probably even felt it in your body, like, oh, like this feels good, like that I told her this. And I've been in situations like that where I would apologize for something I did and I didn't receive the type of response that I wanted. Like the person will probably just be like nonchalant, like okay. But it's not for them, it's for you. And a lot of people go into apologies thinking like this person's response is gonna make me feel better. Like you have to enter into the apology as like, no, this is for me. And the process, you probably have a process, you probably wrote to yourself and stuff like that. Like, this is the reason why I'm doing that. You probably talked to the person, this is the reason why I'm doing this. And it can bring some closure, you know? So the tough macho man stuff that people like to do, they gonna stay with it.
Like it's dead.
Growth. Stuff like that, situations like that, like it makes you grow as a man, right? So that's my answer.
I was gonna go ahead. Okay, but like whoever made that comment has some serious insecurity.
No, because
it's not fair to say like if I was hurt from a relationship and the person came back and apologized, I would look at you very differently and realize that you've grown. So I wouldn't hold what I have in my mind about you, all you've done.
It's like a new chapter.
It's like a new chapter. So if somebody comes back and double back three, 4 times if you got to apologize. Like, don't come 1 time, come 2 times if you got to, because it just shows how mature you are. And like people who say that stuff are the people who hold on to negativity, who hold on to the grudges, who value the baggage. Like they hold that more valuable than actually releasing it and allowing themselves to be free and going on about their lives. So once again, for the people out there that are holding on to that, don't come back and apologize. Like, how dare you?
Right? Nah. Those situations, like God puts you in those situations so you can grow, like I said. So they're very important when stuff like that happens for you to go ahead and apologize.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I would say like I would see that person as stagnant, because I think like most times when you get out of a relationship, you want to in a bad way, like it ended off in a bad way. You want to hate them and they want to look like the worst person. But when someone comes back to you and apologizes, you don't even know how to feel. You're like, should I like them now? Like that they're telling me the truth, so you don't really know how to feel. I think that's why most people are like, let's just end it cut and clear and just not talk about it. But that's growth for you, and that should be growth for the other person as well, and learn that in their future relationships, that's how they should think about things. So
okay. All right, cool. I have to make sure I wasn't tripping because a lot of people
You're not tripping. You are not tripping at all.
All right, cool.
You're not tripping. But speaking on that, obviously you've been in I believe you've been in relationships before, and you've experienced things with different relationships. Why haven't those relationships worked? And how have you learned from those situations? Because I'm not sure if you're currently in a relationship or not.
I'm not right now.
For the ladies out there, he's single. He is single. I don't know if you look at him. Come on now. He's a bold guy, man. Come on.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay. All right. So you're not in a relationship, but you have been in previous relationships before. What led to you not committing or it falling out, I guess you would say, and how have you learned from that?
I've learned a lot from it. And I've been applying this. I'm gonna try to wrap it around, but I've been applying this perspective lately of like, okay, I'm 22, and for example, the other day my homie was tripping, and he's 21, right? He was just talking about something, and I was like, he's trying to get his life together, etc. I'm like, yo, fam, 2 years ago you were a teenager. You know what I mean? Like, do you understand? 2 years ago, you were a teenager. So I've been applying that to myself as well. It's like, yo, 3 years ago, you were a teenager. I'm saying that to say, I think previous relationships have ended, and I'm currently not in one right now because, for one, I would say maturity. Like in the past, I know for sure the maturity just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And especially now getting closer to God, getting closer to myself, like I have certain foundations within myself that I wasn't even close to before. So to try to build on, it's like trying to build on water.
Exactly. You're gonna
like, what are you doing? So that's for sure why I think I didn't stay in those relationships. And then in terms of another thing actually is that, and I think people don't say this enough or admit it or talk about it enough, but I enjoy me.
Woo!
You know what I'm saying? Like, people, it's always like
that's the best superpower. That's the best superpower to have.
That literally is me right here. You're explaining me. You get me, right? You get me.
Yeah, I hear you. And people put a lot of emphasis and pressure on being in relationships, but it's like even with friendships, I'm at a place where it's like, if I don't enjoy your energy more than I enjoy my own, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like, good luck. So yeah, like I enjoy my energy. In the past, I had to work on my maturity, and then another thing too is insecurities. I was dating someone last year, and it was beautiful and it was amazing, and she was awesome. And but I learned through that I have a lot I still need to work on within myself because I was bringing those to our situation, and that's not fair on her. So yeah.
So with going through all of that stuff, like what in the future, God willing, like what is going to be different? Like how we go about things as different Matthew in a relationship, of course.
What do you mean? Like what?
So with all the stuff you learned, all the stuff you have gone through, all the stuff that you have picked up for yourself right now, how will it be different? What will how will your approach to a relationship look?
Slower. I think a big thing is pace. And if you get caught up and you really start feeling someone, pace kind of goes out the window. A lot of, at least personally, like pace goes out. Like you're just finish line, like you're just sprinting. So I think a big thing is pace, and then even just I'm starting to bring certain aspects of my life into these things. Like, okay, what religion do you adhere to? What are your politics? What is your life outside of quarantine? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are your goals or whatnot? Because now it's a matter of like building, not just getting to know someone, but building. So it has to include those features, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, I love that he says like a lot of people especially when it comes to your own belief, compromising, you're asking for it to fall apart. You're literally asking, like, no, because it doesn't, especially if you believe in something so valuable as God and he's your creator, and you're compromising on that, and you're compromising on what certain things you do and what certain things you don't do, and then at the end of the day, people kind of rush it and be like, I'm in love, but you compromise throughout the whole thing, so it's not really love. Do you understand? Like, it's just like, as you said, people are rushing and they're racing and they're running, and when they get to the final destination, just like, oh, I don't know. And that's how relationships fall apart after year 3, year 4, year 5, because they rush through all of it.
And I feel like I point to, like, most people believe, like, they break up because they be like, oh, I don't know myself anymore. And it's like, yeah, you don't, because you compromise through the whole thing, and you lost yourself.
They didn't have their own identity.
Your identity was created within them, and then it's just like, who am I actually? What do I actually like? And going back to the belief, it's like it didn't hold you down as much then. Like it wasn't as important to you.
Exactly.
Because
I wasn't convicted in anything. You know, like I didn't have any convictions. I didn't know what my politics were. I didn't know which religion, I wasn't convicted in anything. So I wasn't looking for anyone that was as well. But now that I'm becoming more convicted, I think compromise, that's not happening at all. But there is a sense of, like, you can coexist with someone. You know, there's people that can do that can be Democrats and Republicans, liberals, conservatives, Christians and Muslims, and coexist together. Some people can work like that. I think it's more so a thing of, like, can you coexist, or will you end up compromising? And if you're going to end up compromising, steer clear. So,
I don't think it's right if I'm Christian and I'm trying to marry a Muslim. What am I teaching my kid? I'm teaching my kid Christian values, and you're teaching my kid Muslim. Like, that's not. That
people with strong wills, it's like you get pulled apart.
It will cause separation, and I just wouldn't want to divide a home, to be honest. So, like, stay single and not compromising, find the right one. But I was gonna say, like, I really, like, I'm happy that you have, like, you're finding and you're growing in yourself, because, like, the stuff we talked about years and years ago, the stuff you've been through, it's like, oh my God.
It's exactly that I talked to.
And, you know, but it's great that, you see, a lot of people are not even aware of the stuff they should be looking for, or the stuff that they're thinking. And then they maybe, like, they get aware when they're 4 years old. But, like, when you're young and you already know the do's and don'ts, it's amazing.
I think, Matthew, doesn't that come with you actually becoming self-aware and spending time with yourself? Like, if every like 6 months, 3 months, you're in a next relationship or you're entertaining somebody, there's absolutely no room for you to even sit down and realize, yo, what happened with the previous one? What didn't work? What was I doing that wasn't working, right? And so that's what it's like, that's what you're talking about, how he's grown. It's because he's become self-aware, right? And spend time with yourself. So
very much so. And I make it like a point to spend time with myself and spend time with God. And again, back to the other point, like, sometimes it's not that deep. I just enjoy myself. So you know what I mean? Like, in enjoying myself, you learn about yourself. And honestly, I try to surround myself around different people, different upbringings, different everything. So when you do that, you learn what you part with and what you don't. So can't hop back into
He said, if you don't have different people around you, sorry, I just lost it. If you don't have different people around you, like, you won't, like, see how you could grow. Like, you know, like, if you have the same people, like, in your lane, you just feel like you're doing okay.
That's right, because even in my life, I try to put in the aspect of mentoring. So, like, when I'm with a kid one-on-one, how will I act during those different weeks? And then that experience, I'm now going to see, like, oh, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I could do it. Instead of staying around the same 3 people, which is, it is what it is. But just incorporate different people in your life. You're right.
Yeah. Different energy, different perspectives and whatnot. And then through that, you just learn, like, oh, okay, I don't agree with you.
Oh, trust me. We know. We have a friend right now that's like, oh my gosh, he's making us go back to our word and making us read our Bibles, do research. So trust me, we know. I'm like, I don't know Bible like that.
It pushes you, challenges you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have a question. Who's challenging you right now? Who's around you that's challenging you right now? in a sense where they're helping you grow. Yeah, in that sense.
That's a great question. I think in different aspects of my life. So business-wise, I have a friend, Anania. He's East African too.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah.
What you guys do? Ooh, that's what you guys do.
Nah, that's not it.
No, see this misconception? You see what they, you see these movies and stuff like that do to people?
But it's not. We do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, but like putting sauce on it. You're putting sauce on it.
Yo, Matthew, you see the people up? You see how they try to throw me under the bus? I'm their root. I'm their mate.
I mean, you came like this.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And then the people up on the internet are gonna say, "Oh, Nana this, Nana's that." You see, thank you, Matthew. You clean it up.
Nah, don't worry. We learning, bro. We learning. It's love,
I meant what he did with his mouth.
But he didn't use his hands.
He did.
Continue.
Sorry,
gotta deal with this guy sometimes. He's
no
gotta control him.
No worries.
You gotta control it.
See how wild these people are?
My bad, bro.
I love it though. It's what makes the show. You know, it's the energy. Yeah. But who challenges me right now? My friend Anania. He challenges me business-wise. He's very much in the stock market and just aware of these things. So kind of, gets me out of like create mode and into business and whatnot. Honestly, religiously and with my faith, Eric, you challenged me a lot with our phone calls. Yeah, with our phone calls. And
that's cool.
Yeah, you challenged me. I'll say your conviction, very much so, in terms of faith, had me like, whenever we would have those calls, I would leave on some like, all right, I gotta come correct. Yeah, like I gotta try to be more on par with that. So for sure, I'll give you that. And then creatively, it's just different aspects. Like,
yeah,
man, I'm blessed. I have a lot of people that help me and that challenge me and raise me and whatnot. So
real talk.
Yeah, it's so important to have a circle of people around you to uplift you, challenge you, and not just to be your yes man or like just. That's what he does. Okay, fine. So you need people to be like, not in the right. So.
Yeah, having people that will check you, I think, is like
very
the most important. Like, yo, you're out of line right now. So I definitely thank God I have that. Yeah.
So we talked about a lot of great things. So can you tell the people or tell us, what are you doing now? And what is Matthew up to right now that you can share? Because I know a lot of people in the business world. I'll be like, Matthew, no.
Don't say that.
No, but what can you share with us?
Right now, so I'm still on contract with Chorus for Nick Plus to continue to do their voiceovers. So I'm still the voice of that. And outside of that, just doing a lot of auditions. Hopefully gonna land a show or a movie or something along the lines. Not hopefully. I know it's coming. It's coming.
Did you see that?
Yeah, no. I said hopefully. You know what it is? I'm glad you did that, because I said hopefully, but then it's important to have people to check yourself, and it's important to check yourself as well. When I said hopefully, my first thought was, do you work that hard for hopefully?
Well,
yeah, man. Put it in the air.
Like, nah. So that
it's not confidence. You're just confident. You're confident.
I know what I'm. I know what I'm after.
Yeah, he knows what he knows.
Yeah.
Sorry, when you say voiceovers for Nickelodeon, like, is it like cartoon stuff? And it's like, how can I?
No, it's so the promo, like all the promo for the streaming service.
Oh.
Yeah, I do all the promo for them. So on Amazon, Apple TV, all that stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm working on that right now, and a couple other creative projects I'm hoping to bring forth, but I don't want to prematurely, so I'll just let them fester for now. Yeah.
That sounds good to hear.
He's a cool guy.
Very cool. We can talk for hours.
Cool, calm, and collected. This guy can talk for hours.
For hours. Hey, man.
Right? No, but thank you very much for joining us. Like, it was really cool.
Sure.
And obviously, this is our first time meeting you, Eric.
Don't call me Eric.
And our first interview.
Matthew, I don't like when they call me Eric. Okay, let me break down something for the
I was gonna ask, but I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. You see, I never said, hey Matthew, call me Nana. Because when we talk with our friends, everyone knows me as Eric. So I don't want to just say, hey, everyone just call me Nana. You know?
Why not?
I don't know, because they've been knowing me as not Eric for like so many years, 7 years. So it's like,
introduce yourself. Okay, sorry, but listen. At the end of the day, you can't just switch up on them and say, "Call me Nana." Now he's saying, "Don't."
No, I said, don't call me Nana. I mean, you don't call me Eric.
That's not fair.
What do you mean?
How's that fair, Matthew? That's not fair. I can interchange.
Wait, but how were you introduced to him? As Eric or Nana?
Nana,
exactly. Can't just.
But then we heard Eric and we said, "Oh, okay."
No, the only time you say Eric is when you're gonna go pick up my lunch from work, or you're gonna go to work and say, "Hey, is Eric here?" You know, because it's my dog. Yo, soon people up. I see a lot of people.
Did you hear this guy?
Yeah,
I don't talk a lot, but people up. I'm gonna change everything to Nana down. Don't worry.
I'll call you
Black
Fabulous.
roots, man.
Let me know, bro.
Do you have
It's your name. I'm sorry?
Do you have another name that people call you by?
You know your mom doesn't call you
Like
Matthew. Your mom doesn't call you Matthew. Your mom doesn't call you
My name
Matthew.
is Matthew. That's it, guys.
She doesn't call me Matthew.
Exactly. So what she call you, bruh?
Well, all right, I'm on your side, bro. My mom calls me Mati. She calls me Mati.
Everybody has.
These guys,
Matt, stop.
I'm not gonna say it, but Matthew, these guys have two different names when they go home and they go into their parties and stuff like that. It's not even Bernice and Janet anymore, bro. This is life. That's how guys do it.
It's a secret. Like, can't let the world know.
It's not a secret.
No,
This is boss.
This is Boomy. You're so. Oh my god, you didn't know. I'm so sorry.
Damn, I'm bro. My bad.
He doesn't even know that's sad.
This is Boomy right here. But it goes long too. Honestly, people don't. My mind is kind of. I never called her Buster before. That's just crazy. But I know her name is Boomy. So.
Okay. See, well, look.
Sorry.
Good?
Yeah, Ty's coming.
All right. Does he want to join the interview?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Matthew, for joining us.
You.
Being our first interviewee.
Yeah.
And make sure you guys check out his book.
You can call me.
It's really good. Honestly,
Please
it's
do.
very.
Appreciate it.
I love the simplicity, but it's so raw. So I love it.
And check him on all his things.
Yeah, where can they find you?
Tell them.
Yes, you could find me on Instagram, Twitter at 1 as in the number Matthew Worku. I'm around.
Well, hope you guys love this interview. So you can guys subscribe to our channel, YouTube, so you can watch it. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts over there, and Google. And you can also find us on our Instagram, the Juxtaposition Podcast _. Somebody took it, you know. But yeah, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when it's up. This interview is going to be awesome, guys. You need to check it out because this guy is talented. Very talented. So yes, thank you for allowing us to interview you.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. We appreciate you a lot, man.
Thank you for having me.
And that's all, folks. We're in Juxtaposition.
And we're
out. She messed it up. We're out. I said, no.